Oh, hello guys. So today you can see that this is the POTD for today, that is 26th February. So I think you would have read the question and you would have get an idea and you would have tried. If you have not tried, then I think you should go and try this question, because once you try, then only you get the idea that what the question want to say, and do not directly jump to the solution. So if you have tried a lot and then now want to come that how this is solved, or want to take another approach, or get an intuition that how this could be solved, then you can come here and let's start the video. So let's start. So you are given the binary representation of an integer as a string s. So you are given a string which is binary representation of a number. You have to return that in how many steps this string could be converted into 1 under the following rules. If the current number is even, you have to divide it by 2. If the current number is odd, you have to add 1 to it. Now you can guarantee that it will always reach 1 in the end. So suppose what you can do. So in a binary representation, how can we say that a number is even or odd? So when there is 0 at the end, then we say that this number is even, and when there is 1 at the end, then we say that the number is odd. Now when the number is even, then we can do what? We can divide by 2. This basically means that we can remove the last digit. I don't know that you know this thing or not, but if you have some handy calculation in this one in bit manipulation, then you would have known that when we divide a number by 2, then in the binary representation, the last digit, that is this 0, or if 1 was there, this would be removed. So if we divide this by 2, then what we get in the result? We just would get 1 1 1 1 1. Now if we have an odd number, then we have to add 1, and if we add 1 to it, then what it would become? It would become 1 1, then 0 0 0 0 0. I think you would have understood this. Now how can we simulate this process? We can simulate that if at the end of the string there are some zeros, then in each operation we can remove one digit. For example, there is if 1 0 0 0 0 0 5 times 0, and then what we can do, in the first step we will remove this 0 by dividing 2, then this 0 this 0 this 0 this 0, and there will be 5 steps, and this will convert into 1. Now what if there are 1 1 1 1 1? We will just have to add 1, and that will make this string as 1 0 0 0 0 0, and then we will have to use 5 steps to remove all these zeros. So if there was a string of 5 consecutive ones, then how many operations did we take to remove this and convert this into 1? First one operation was to make this string, that is one operation here, and then 5 to remove all the zeros. So total there were 5 plus 1 and 6 operations or steps. So I think you would have understood that if there is zero, a sequence of 0 in the end, then we can just use 1 over the number of zeros that are there. We can just add them and the answer. And if there is a string of continuous string of 1, and this is always guaranteed that there would be a continuous string of either 0 or 1, because if this is the case, then also we are having this 1 as the continuous sequence of 1, then this 0, then 1, and that is how we can simulate this. Now you would say that how can we simulate this? So 1, see, this is 1. If you add 1 here, then just it would become 0, and the previous one will become g1. So we can simulate this process, and I will show in the code also how we are going to do this. So first of all, you can take an index equals to s dot size minus 1. So we will go from right to left, because when we divide the number of a binary number, then the last bits get erased. That is why we are doing this. So while index is greater or equal to 0, we have to make this loop. Now while index is greater than 0 and we have 0 here, so what we can just do, we can make a global variable, that is answer. And if there is something like this, then what we can do, we can just answer plus plus, because we have already seen that if there is a continuous sequence of zeros, then we have to just add the number of zeros in our answer, and that is why I am adding answer plus plus whenever I am doing this thing. Now what can the other thing we do? We would have to obviously come to the backstage. Now suppose we have come to the zeroth one. We have come to the, for example, the string was 10000, and now this was 0, so you ans plus plus ans plus plus ans plus plus ans plus plus. Now you have come to this one, so you have achieved the goal that you wanted to achieve. So if index is equals to 0, then you need to just break the loop and do nothing else. Now the second thing that comes to the scene is that while index is greater equal to 1, sorry 0, now I would say that here I used greater than 0 and here I used greater equals to 0. Why this is the case? Because whenever you are having a continuous sequence of zeros, there will always be a starting one. So 0 cannot be at the 0th index, because that will not be a valid number. That is why I am doing this. But this could be the case that when this 0th index is having 1, now when you will add 1 in this will become 1000000. See, this one is getting shifted leftward, and all the other ones are getting converted into zeros. So that is how it all works. Now as idx equals to sorry equals to 1. Now you have seen this, that if index is greater equals to 0 and this is equals to 1, then what can you do? See, you can just take a number variable, and this variable will count the number of ones. So temp plus plus and then index minus minus. And why I have taken this variable is just because that in the end I will have to end and add the term plus 1. And why this one is added, you already see that there is also one, that if the string was like 1111, then there were first operation was to convert this into 10000, and then 4 operations were there to convert this into 1. So that is why I'm adding this one extra, because there is one extra operation when all the whole substring is of 1 only. Now what remains? So I have said that if the index is greater than 0, if the index has come to 0, then there is no problem, the string is ended and then we have to do nothing. But if index is greater than 0, that means we are having a 0 currently, which is to be converted into 1. If you do not got this, then I can say explain you another thing, that 110011. Now suppose this was the case. Now since this was 1, so I have added 1 here. In here you can see here I added the 1. So what this is printing is, this will become 11000100 when I add 1 in this. So the previous index is getting converted into 1. That is why I am adding this. So I am changing this 0 to 1, and that is how this all traversal will work. And I think now it should work. If it doesn't work, then I will see what's the problem that is causing here. And no, it's working all right. So because the logic I think was pretty okay, so there was no any case that why it should not be having any problem. So in this type of question, these are very common type of question in the Leetcode, and you can see that whenever this type of questions comes, like when the number is even you have to divide by 2, and number is odd then you have to add by 1, you can just simulate the process, because then the length of the string is not much, only 500 it is. So you can just iterate, and it's very good solution, and does not take any space complexity, does not take any OF and time complexity, and you can see that it's all working. So that is how I solve this. You can also get the logic and solve this. Thank you so much.